welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. You are still watching the newspaper review, and right about now we are joined by our guest for this morning, Obinna Okafor. Thanks for joining us on the newspaper review this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, Esther.
Yeah, I'd like to ask that the NSAS report, the Lagos State panel has given their report 1 year after. How did you find this report that has been submitted, and the announcement rather that has been submitted?
Well, I want to first of all appreciate the panel and the panelists, the team that handled that process, though long a time, but at least it's that eventually come up. That is the first part. Then the next thing also is to say that the promise that the governor made, the report is everywhere. I don't know whether it was panel presentation or just announcement. I don't know, but I think the governor promised that it's going to make this report public. I think there should be such a fulfillment of that promise to make sure that formally Lagos State made that report public. He has said that he's going to submit to the National Executive or Economic Council to start the process of resolving the issues. I think that I hope that the content of the report should be properly implemented, and whoever is found wanting should be made to face appropriate sanctions to serve as a deterrent to those who may do something like that, no matter how highly paid. I think that the report should not just go into the dustbin of history like every other report. That's the only way Nigerians will feel that the things that concerns them actually concerns the government.
Okay, so we would wait for that report to be made public, like you have said, and like we have been promised by the Lagos State governor. Now, let's move to inflation matters. The cost of, let's not go to the LPG yet, the cooking gas. Let's stick with inflation price. On the Guardian newspaper, we have inflation decelerates. That means it has defied market's reality. And I asked people around me this morning, and I listened to Nigerians really make their statements. What is the market's reality around you? Some people are saying that with the cost of beans that has reduced, that yes, indeed, the price of foodstuff is coming down, while others are saying that nothing has changed. What's the reality you have noticed so far?
Well, I think it's a mixture of the realities. In some areas, things are really tough. In some areas, there seems to be some support. So I can't remember. I don't know if I couldn't trace the source of that report. If it's coming from NBC, I think we should also believe it because we have always believed the one that came from it before.
Yes, it is coming from NBC.
If it's coming from NBC, I think they have proven to be very credible and 10 times irrespective of the government in power. So I believe they have done their research well. And maybe some areas we are not feeling the reality, but I believe in some areas a few things are coming down. Because most of the things that caused this inflation were actually food inflation. Cost of food was so high, and many other things that has to do with the building materials, some domestic items that people needed were the cost of this high rate of constant increase in prices, besides something that has to do with foreign forex. But for local items, so I believe that there is little succor. But I think let's wait and see how it goes. I want to think that it's a good thing also. If it's coming from NBC, I have strong confidence that it's correct.
Well,
yes. It might defy the reality in some quarters, but on aggregate scale, I think it should reflect the reality.
Well, it's coming from the Bureau of Statistics, quite all right. But let's also look at what people are facing in terms of if middlemen, maybe the wholesalers and the retailers, will be willing to drop the price. Like I was, before you came on air to join us, I was mentioning that I asked someone around how much, beans is now. She said what she used to buy for 900 was sold for 650. Another person said 800, 700, and that has not changed. And someone else mentioned that the quantity, the paint bucket she gets for 4,000 naira, that she got it for 3,000 naira. Don't you see that as, some good sign that we should hope for maybe a normal price as the Yuletide season is approaching?
That's what I'm saying. Like for instance, somebody took the time to go on air in one of the radio stations where the people were reporting how much they buy gas and some other food stuff in their location. There are some variations.
Okay.
So probably I don't know whether I will call that. I will say that is the cost of transportation or probably a cost of status symbol or whatever. But it can never be. But the reality is that there's a little bit of drop in prices of things in some areas, though not as what the one expected.
All right. Now let me link these prices now to transportation. We're expecting that people would start traveling very soon for the holidays, and NUPENG have threatened nationwide strike as fuel scarcity looms. Some parts of Nigeria have already started talking about fuel scarcity. This is not because of the season now. NUPENG is saying that they've given the government 2-week notice to meet their demands, and I mean, do you feel that this is a good time for Nigerians to experience fuel scarcity?
You know, one problem we are having in Nigeria seems to be a systemic one, and we continue running in circles, vicious circle of repetition of the same thing. Probably the Nigerian government of all times and all levels doesn't seem to listen to the people or hear or keep to the agreements they sign. It's only at that point where they can hold the government to jugular. That is where they take their pound of flesh. Probably they know now that if they threaten strike at this time, people will scream because people will definitely require, and government will want to act. I wonder why some agreements, something that happened, I think, from the report I read about 2012, this is about 9 years or thereabout, and nothing has been done to solve those problems. So I believe that government needs to be more committed. And the people have been advised severally, workers have been advised severally to adopt more other strategic methods, but you can realize that there seems to be no other better method that work for them or work for the Nigerian system than the strike. So I believe that government should be more committed. If they have started little by little, those things would have led to threatening a strike by this time 8 years after. That's what I think should be done. And it's not going to be in the interest of anyone. The populace is already suffering enough. And at this time that people need to travel to see their families and all of that, it used to be like a time of celebration, relaxation, all of that. The threat for strike by NUPENG can lead to a high cost of transportation, and that will prevent a lot of people from making move. Or if they have to move, it may go deep into their pocket and thereby preventing them from solving other needs.
Let me talk about some of the demands they have made: non-payment of workers' salaries, title benefits, among others. These reasons, do you feel that there are reasons that can be eliminated from various sectors? We'll still go to ASU. They've also made their demands. Do you think that these reasons can be eliminated totally from various sectors?
I don't expect for all places, NUPENG and oil and gas sector, to be owing staff, workers, and all of that salaries. I don't expect that to happen. There are a lot of wastages in that system, a lot of corruption going on in the system. If things can be properly channeled, people that labor and work, a laborer is worthy of his wages. He should be paid. Those are they are trivial things, and those should be basic things that should be taken as given. One shouldn't even contemplate that the people should be owed their salary, even though we know there have been some fluctuations here and there in terms of oil prices and all of that. That should be understood. But no matter what, it's even better that a negotiation was made and an arrangement was made to be paid on a graduated basis if it needs to that.
Let me butt in.
We have refineries that are not producing 1 naira, and they're spending billions. Where does money go to? Most of the leaders or heads or those who travel here and there go for frivolities, and yet those who do some other stuff they are not taken care of. I don't think that should be right.
Let me butt in now. Their demands are valid, but 2 weeks' notice, you feel that this is realistic to be able to meet all their demands? 2 weeks is just, I mean, we'll be getting into December in 2 weeks' time.
I think there's always a law that guides that in labor arrangements, and I believe that I think it should be around 21 day notice, but sometimes labor union, when they come up, they come to push, where you now remind the president, okay, they extend it by that time. So I believe that 2 weeks might not be ideal, but I also don't think that they should be reminded, even if they day. These are primary obligations. You don't need to threaten a strike for such a thing to happen. If there are key things, you say, okay, fix the refinery, build roads, you say this one cannot happen within 2 weeks. But somebody who has been coming, you have not started departing from work, and we're also generating income from wherever, and you are 20% salary. I don't think that should even come up.
Now let's move to more industrial action matters. ASUU is back in the news, and I don't know how would students react if in 3 weeks' time their memorandum of understanding is not adhered to. If they don't listen to them, they are also giving the government 3 weeks' notice to attend to their demands.
That's exactly what I've just said now. And it appears the only potent weapon our Nigerian Labour Union have is a strike. Unfortunately, the government also have not taken this as a means of, I don't know whether it's intentional or some limitations around. And if we have played seriousness, I don't know what the cause of that threat of the strike is about. If it is on most of those things they have also requested in time past, how far have they implemented the agreement that was signed that made them to follow the strike before?
Okay.
If nothing has been done, then you now begin to wonder why has nothing been done. If there was some difficulties, why has government not called people back and say, well, let's look at this thing again. This is what we agree, but we're having some challenges. It is a way of managing the situation. Instead of communication is very key. Also, if you take the people for granted, they will feel that you are taking them for granted. But if you have an agreement, a contract arrangement with somebody, and it gets to a point that you know it yourself, that it's just ideal that you call the person and say, please, so this is what we agreed before. Can we renegotiate? Can we reschedule this thing? Okay. And not to wait until the time come and pass after some time, for a long time again, the people now start threatening you. I don't think that is the best way to go. Okay. So I think that there should be a better relationship in managing the labor union so that we don't have to come. These children stayed a long time last time, and we blame that to COVID-19 as nothing. But this time around, they have gone back to school. I don't think anything should disrupt their studies anymore. Okay. So government should just do what they can do to ensure that the strike does not go. It doesn't have to mean that they should settle everything, but at least they should find a way of managing the situation to ensure that there's a win-win situation in the okay.
One last story before we call it a wrap this morning with our conversation. Ikoyi building, you heard about the 21-story building collapse, and there's now a report. Engineers unveil preliminary report, suspect structural distress. Now, they have come to say, and I'm going to just read it here, as the president of this organization said, that there are clear indications of several design brief changes on the project, and the engineering and management of these changes appear to have been seriously inadequate. Did this come as a surprise to you that something like this, I mean, changes in between when a structure has already been placed for how this building should be constructed from start to finish? Do you think that this should just be taken lightly the way it has been described here?
I would want to start by saying that this is very, very unfortunate. We take so many things too far. I can't say really what could have been the drive or the motivation to go that route. Now, the implication of trying to cut corners, the professionals have said what they suspect or discover, or probably what the preliminary report that shows what has happened. Professionals are people that are supposed to do things that are held out in high esteem. So whenever you have any call to cut corner, no matter the profession you belong to, it's always come around in this way to hunt every one of us. Now look at innocent people that went to go and take care of themselves. About 40 persons lost their life there. So all this we are saying now are just messing up to death, and they all kind of worked, incurred. Building that structure of the airport has come to zero now. So that is like a penny wise, pound foolish.
Wow.
It's so surprising that a professional, among who have been involved in business, in property development, to get involved in such a cutting of corners. I mean, it's very, very unfortunate that a project was started with a particular design, and in midway, there were changes in those things, and there were no proper replacement or proper alternative measures that was taken to take care of possible eventualities. I think this should be a very big lesson to every one of us, whether in the building subsector or every other business, that try to keep the design and standard as much as possible. It might be a bit costly, but it will save us a lot compared to what has just happened now. In this case now, everyone lost. Both the financier, the business owner, eventually lost his life, and the engineer. I doubt whether such a engineer who consider that project will have a very reasonable assignment to do some way people get to know. And so many people have the loss is just, unimmeasurable. That's some we cannot quantify. Families have been thrown into several sorrow and much mood for several years. So these are things that we could avoid, and I think no one should ever contemplate and imagine. It's very, very surprising that such a thing happened. For such a magnitude, for such a high level of project, and something was done to cut corners, but unfortunate.
I wish we could continue on more stories this morning, but thank you for joining us on the newspaper review, Obinna Okafor.
Thank you very much for having me.
Do have a great day ahead.